Hello everyone, welcome to episode 13 of Saguaro Valley. In today's episode we will be building the airport detail side of things, which was quite the task. I've never really done anything this highly detailed before, so it was quite an experience for me. But to start us off right now, I am basically replacing the runways with these custom runways made by Nicole. And what these allow me to do is, one, match the gray color tone of the actual runways in Phoenix Sky Harbor, but just give it that extra little bit of uniqueness and just help it stand out against more, I guess, vanilla style airports. I kept the taxiways the same because I kind of liked the way they look, and I was too lazy to replace them with the other custom taxiways. But in the end, I feel like this worked out really well for me. So. Right now, as you can see me placing very professional runway markings. A lot of these markings aren't at all like professionally done. Like, I didn't really do a whole lot of research into what a bunch of these numbers and lines means. I just kind of winged it and did what I thought looked good and something like similar to what I see on Google Earth and stuff. So don't expect too much realism in that department, but like, hey, they work, and especially with the lighting fixtures that I add later on, which I don't think is on camera, but I add some really cool lighting features to the runways that really bring them to life. And right now, as you can see me placing a bunch of skid marks and stuff that are very visible on runways just due to the plane landings and stuff. So I tried to use the prop line tool to just make my life easier, but the straight lines that just created was a bit unrealistic and too, like, it just wasn't what's in real life. So I had to use a single placing tool, whatever it's called, and just make it my own there. And I do end up committing the mistake of having too many of these overlap each other, so it's just void in some parts, so I do end up removing a lot of the decals later on. We are now moving into the bit where I basically cover the entire airport with cement using the paintbrush tool, and I also end up placing these other taxiways made by the same guy, Nicole. The reason for this is because of the color that they have are this darker asphalt color, which matches up perfectly with a lot of these asphalt patches that Phoenix Sky Harbor actually has. And the reason for this, I'm not too sure. I did a little bit of research onto like the history of the airport, and I'm assuming it's because of just some of the renovation projects. Like, I've seen a lot of imagery of the airport in its past, and it was paved with this like darker asphalt color, so I'm assuming that, like, with some of the newer renovations and repaving of the airport, they left a lot of these darker patches, and they left them alone in areas that don't really matter, where they just didn't choose to have planes actually go anymore, which typically happened around the edges and in between the gaps of the taxiways. So that's kind of what I was trying to replicate here, and I did overdo it a little bit because, as you can see, I basically layered two of them next to each other, and in some areas that was just a little bit too thick. So I went back and just deleted the other three segments just to leave the one, and that ended up looking a little bit better. I think I'm gonna do that right now, actually. Yeah, I just decided that they were a bit too thick and just started using the one segment there. there is this cargo terminal or cargo facility on the side of the airport, and I'm gonna try and build that in a later episode. I'm not gonna do that this episode in particular. This episode is mainly focused on the airport itself and detailing the terminals that I have constructed, and just doing a little bit of the finer details around the tarmac and runways and stuff like that. So we are now getting into the detailing of one of the terminals, and or at least a segment of it, because I did not want to have to detail all of this on camera, because I'm basically just going to be repeating the same process over and over again. So I decided to just detail the first one, which is basically a dummy. This little segment that I chose for right now is not actually functional. It doesn't have any actual functioning plane stands. So this is totally just me detailing right now, and that kind of serves for me to figure out what kind of, or how I want to end up detailing the rest of the terminals. It serves as good experimentation, and yeah, just as you can see here, I'm trying to level everything correctly to make sure that the gates or the jet bridges connect properly to the airplane, so I'm not just having like a jet bridge connected to a window or something instead of a door. It's the fine details that really matter in this game. But yeah, I'm basically just, it's not a ton of complicated detail. I'm literally just spamming a bunch of like luggage carts and the loader vehicles and the pushback cars that, as the name implies, they push back the plane back onto the taxiway. And I'm also just adding little details around the terminal, maybe where they store a bunch of these cars, which just adds that little bit of life to the airport, little details that matter, and that you would see in an actual airport. In this final segment of the video, I'm building this facilities unit, which I'm assuming is its function. I don't really know. I can't really tell by Google Maps here. I think there's like a police station or something, but I basically interpreted it as being its just own little facilities unit, maybe where the fire station is for the airport, and a little police station as well. So it's not a terribly complicated or detailed build, but it's a nice one nonetheless. It's basically just these three buildings. I'm not sure what that middle one is. I think it's just another small police station. But yeah, I struggled with finding a good balance of how many buildings I wanted to have, because just these three buildings by themselves, I initially thought that it was just not going to be enough. It looks too empty. But I just stuck with it, and I just said, you know what, I'm just going to detail the heck out of these as much as I can. And honestly, they ended up looking pretty decent in the end. Something that I didn't include in the actual recordings is later on I ended up putting like these plane stands, non-functional. They were literally just for decoration. But there's these plane stands for either airplanes that are out of service or just that need to be stuck at the airport for a while and shouldn't be taking up space or time at an actual gate, and or just smaller propeller planes that can't really fit or are too small for the gates at the actual terminals, and they just have a bus come out to them, which I don't really think we have here in Phoenix Sky Harbor, but it's a detail that other airports do have. So I was like, you know what, screw it, I'm just gonna add that. But yeah, you can see me detailing this police station right now, just a bunch of planters and whatever those plants are called. And I ended up gating this little back section of the police station, because I'm assuming that these vehicles are highly guarded, because you don't really want people to just wander in and be like, hey, I got a police car. And so yeah, I decided to add this little gate. I'm sad that longer section didn't like match well with the planner, but I ended up just sticking a fence there and just pretending it all fits perfectly. But yeah, you can just see me placing in more decals, making this area a bit more grudgy and more worn and used, so it's not all pristine and shiny and clean, because this part of the airport is pretty grudgy looking, if I do say so myself. And yeah, with that being said, we are now at the end of the episode, so this is gonna be there's gonna be a few more episodes, maybe like 1 or 2 focused on the airport, the next one being detailing the actual roads and the inner sections of the terminal where people actually drop off and where the cars are, basically. So look forward to that, and I hope you enjoyed this episode. Please leave a like, comment, and maybe any suggestions that you guys have for potential builds on the city. And yeah, with that being said, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.